This was our another video on over the India-US trade deals. Recently, I think everybody knows that after assuming the office by the Donald Trump in USA, he was taking some radical steps such as a tariff on the countries. And one such thing I would like to highlight that why this is going to happen. Even various countries or developed countries are now putting more tariff on the countries from where they import. But basically, if I think that why they are doing this, so you have to go in history. Just after the World War II, these countries, especially developed countries, agreed that we will provide free access to our market to these developing countries, and on the other hand, they will also have to provide the same to these countries. And in that scenario, the World Trade Organization, or what we call GATT, is formed. But these GATT and World Trade Organization also measure or also come up with various measures to protect these developing countries. Especially what they did is they made some provisions that developing countries can also put some tariff on some of the important products that is produced in their own country, so basically they can protect themselves from the developed countries or their cheap manufacturing products. Basically, it was really a nice effort by the World Trade Organization and this GATT. But one thing remains that who made these decisions, who formed the WTO, and all these tariff systems and liberalization, like globalization, and all these things. These are these uh, developing countries at that time. So what happened? They are looking for markets at that time, and it was basically very clear that countries, especially India, China, and various other countries all around the world, they don't have such sophisticated machines and all these things to develop or to make the product, and they can export or free, that free trade agreement to these developed countries. And even they have very sophisticated things, sophisticated machines, and they already have developed these things. So basically they can produce cheap products, and these cheap products are very, that not compatible to these heavily or high priced products that basically developed in the developing countries by hands. So they simply get access to the market of developing countries. But the things totally changed since then. It's been more than 70 to 75 years after World War. And now what we see that these developing countries that are more prone at that time because of US import or various developed countries import, now they have that sophisticated machines. They develop their own way of dealing these things. They also produce their uh, cheap products. Now what happened that we overpower the developed countries, especially the developing countries. So they now are putting tariffs on us, especially developing countries, so that they can restrict these countries to not get fully developed. So that may be the strategy of these all developed countries. So here we will not get entrenched or not deep dive into these such type of controversial issues, but instead of that we can go with in recent India and USA's deal, especially the civil liability or civil nuclear liabilities. Especially what will happen if I talk about the nuclear deal. So India has its own way of dealing the civil nuclear programs, and USA has its own. Basically, since World War II, what USA did is USA not shared its nuclear or even the civil nuclear use of technology with any country. And the rule was 810 authorization, where it is totally restricted its producers that they don't have to simply help these developing country or any country in the world to to set up these nuclear or civil nuclear liability or its use in the energy sector. and India has its own way of dealing. So was basically now we have to amend our constitution, amend our rule and regulations. Even USA will do something, then we can have a very good nuclear deals, especially to help them in the nuclear power projects. Although India and US signed various agreements, especially to procure small modular reactors, that is very helpful for India's nuclear energy power. So why this matter to the India, especially if I talk about the small modular reactors. Small modular reactor is simply a device that is used in the nuclear power plant that has capacity to generate 30 megawatt to 300 megawatt of electricity, and it is also considered a good, or you can say average modular reactor for the nuclear power plant. There are other areas too. If I talk about advanced modular reactor which we are developing with the France, but there are that things we have to consider while dealing, that is diversifying our supply chain from France, USA, Russia, and even if you find other countries, then you simply go and make some deals to do or to procure these type of sophisticated the items that help in achieving India's sufficient or India's self dependency in the nuclear power plant. So with that I would like to conclude this video also, and with that our today's news covering, especially from the newspaper, is over here. And you like the video, I think, and I will combine all these videos and then publish on my YouTube channel. So okay, with that I would like to thank you for listening me, and Jai Hind.